Hello and welcome to Riffle, Shuffle, and Roll. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to teach you how to play 66. This is, if launched on time, coming out to you on the last day of Oktoberfest for 2024. So I missed the mark a little bit with this one, but what we have is a classic, traditional German card game that is good to play any time of the year. And after you learn it, you'll have it ready to go for next year's Oktoberfest. This is a trick-taking card game for 2 players, and it uses a really small deck. Now, there are a lot of little things you need to know in order to play the game, but I think it's pretty easy to learn, and once you get the game flow down, it's a very fast-paced game, and it's a lot of fun. So let's dive in and learn how to play. For this video, I'm going to be using Bicycle's official rules for 66. This is my favorite resource for card game rules. This book is out of print, but it's still pretty easy to find, and I believe I have the most modern publication. This was printed in 2006, and it's the 90th edition. We're going to be playing with the Piatnik Luxury playing cards, and I'm going to be using a cribbage board for keeping score. Now, you do not need a cribbage board. You can use a piece of paper and a pencil, but I found that a cribbage board is much easier to use for the scorekeeping process. To play 66, you will take a 52 card deck and cut it down to 24 cards. You will need the 9s up through the aces in each suit. This is an ace-10 game, meaning that the 10 is actually the second highest card in each suit. To play 66, you need to understand the points that you're able to earn each trick. You will earn points for the cards you capture. Aces are worth 11. 10s are worth 10, kings are 4, queens are 3, and jacks are 2. 9s are not worth anything. There is one other way to score points, and that is by announcing a marriage. If you happen to have the queen and king of the same suit in your hand, you are able to announce that you have those 2 cards. And those 2 cards together are the marriage. You'll have to do this when you have the lead, and we'll talk about that more when we get into actual gameplay. Each round there will be a trump suit. So let's say our trump suit is hearts. If you announce a marriage in the trump suit, that is 40 points. If you announce a marriage in any non-trump suit, that will get you 20 points. The non-dealer gets to lead the first trick, and they may lead any card from their hand. For this trick, we will have our player lead the jack of spades. For now, this is a may follow game, meaning that a player does not have to follow suit if they don't want to. They can play any card they wish. So we'll have our player on the right play this ace of clubs. The highest card in the suit that was led, or if trump is played, the highest trump card takes the trick. So here, our player with the ace of clubs takes the trick. And now we will tally the score for that trick. So player 2 here on the right side of the screen earns 11 points for the ace and 2 points for the jack. So a total of 13 points for that trick. Once the trick is collected, the trick winner draws a card from the stock first and adds it to their hand. Then the non-trick winner draws the next card and adds it to their hand. Whoever won the trick leads the next one. Now is a great time to show you how to announce a marriage. First, you must have the lead if you are going to announce a marriage in your hand, meaning you must be the player leading the next trick. So player 2 has the lead, and they have the queen and king of spades. To announce the marriage, you simply show your opponent the marriage, and then get your score for those cards. So we get 20 points for this non-trump marriage. And then you must choose one of the cards from the marriage you announced to lead the trick. So we will lead with the queen, and we'll keep the other card in our hand. Play passes to the opposite player, and it still may follow at this time, so they can play any card from their hand. Again, the highest ranking card in the suit that was led, or if trump is played, the highest ranking trump card wins the trick. There's no trump here, so it is the Queen of Spades. Spades was the lead suit. The Queen of Spades takes it. Figure out your points for this captured trick. The queen is worth 3, so we will give them 3 more points. 1, 2, 3. Take the trick, and trick winner draws, and the loser draws. There is one little exception to the marriage rule. At the very beginning of the game, the non-dealer, so that the player who gets to go first, they can announce a marriage and then lead from that marriage. However, they will not earn points for that marriage until they capture their first trick. The trick winner leads the next trick. So our player will lead out the Jack of Diamonds. The opposite player can play whatever card they want. They are going to follow suit and play their 10 of Diamonds. Remember, this is an ace-10 game, so the 10 is ranked higher than the Jack. That means the 10 wins the trick. And that is worth 10 points, plus 2 for the Jack, 12 points. They collect the trick and draw. Trick loser draws. And now we have a great opportunity to show you how to exchange with the turn-up card. The player holding the trump suited 9 is allowed to trade it with the turn-up card on their turn, as long as they have captured at least one trick. This player just captured their first trick. It's their turn. They have the lead. So now they are allowed to exchange. All you do is throw down the 9 and take the card that is part of turn-up. Now our player can lead and play will continue. And you may have noticed our player now has the trump marriage. They are going to go ahead and announce it. They have the lead, so they announce their trump marriage. They score their points for that. That is 40 points to them. And this is also a great opportunity to show you how to use multiple pegs on the cribbage board. I forgot to do so with the blue player, but we'll have player 1 here, the red player, do it. So they're going to score 40 points. So you take your second peg and you go 40 from the previous peg. So we can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 40. And then on the next turn, when they want to add points, they'll pick up their old peg and use it to figure out their new score. The third peg for each player is going to be used to keep track of game points, and we'll talk about that at the end of the round. So our player has their 40 points, and they will choose which card to lead. They're going to lead out the queen. Their best play is this Queen of Diamonds. The trump Queen of Clubs wins the trick. That earns the player 6 points. So red will move up 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The trick's collected. They draw. Now, something I haven't mentioned yet is that there are actually 2 phases to this game. One where there is a stock to draw from, and then the second phase where there is no stock to draw from. And that can happen 2 ways. First, the stock runs empty. That will begin the second phase of the game. The other way that can happen is if someone closes the stock. So let's talk about that real quick. The player who has the lead is able to close the stock if they think they can get to 66 points with the cards they have in their hand. A player must have the lead in order to do this, and that means as soon as the previous trick is won. So a player can close the stock before the draw or after it. For this example, our players have already had the draw, and the player with the lead, player 1, thinks they are able to get 66 points or more without the use of the stock. So they're going to close it. To close the stock, you simply announce that you are closing it, and you turn the turnip card over like so. This brings the game into phase 2. Before we talk about phase 2, let me just point out that player 1 is at 57. So they're actually in a really good place to score 66 points or more before they run out of cards. Now, let's talk about phase 2. Here in the second phase, we now have a must-follow game. So the suit that is led must be followed if possible by the opposite player. We're going to go ahead and have our player lead out the ace of hearts. The opposite player must follow suit if they can. And they can. They have the king of hearts, which they play. The highest card in the lead suit, or if played, the highest trump card wins the trick. The ace of hearts wins the trick. And that's a big points right there. We got 11 for the ace, 4 for the king. So we got 15 points for red. And that brings them to beyond 66. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. That brings them to 72 points. That officially ends the round. We'll talk about how to score the round here in a moment. What I want to do is show you how the game can come to an end without closing the stock. So you just saw how to close the stock, go into phase 2, and then end the round by getting 66 points or more. Now, I need to show you how to play through the game with nobody closing the stock for that round. And we're going to do that without keeping score, because player 1 is in the position to win and end the round prematurely. Just keep in mind, as soon as a player reaches 66 points or more, the round comes to an end. So we're going to ignore the scoreboard for a moment. And we're going to continue in phase 1. Since this is phase 1, we're back to the may follow rules. So player 1 leads whatever they like, and player 2 can follow with any card they wish. We threw out a jack of hearts, so player 2 is going to take that with the king of hearts. Remember to add your score up. We're not going to do that because I don't want to bring this round to an end according to the scoreboard, but you would add your points to your score. Each player draws. The trick winner leads. They can lead anything, so they will go ahead and lead out the 9 of spades. This player can play anything. They're going to play their 10 of spades. The 10 of spades wins the trick. You would add your score. And here we're about to end the first phase of the round. So the trick winner draws, and the non-trick winner takes that turnip card. The stock is gone, so we have officially entered phase 2 of the game, meaning the game is now must follow. You are still allowed to announce marriages if you have any, and when you have the lead. We'll have our trick winner lead, and they're going to throw out the ace of hearts. Player 2 does not have any hearts, so they can play any card. We're going to trump that with the jack of clubs. The trump jack takes the trick. You would add your points for that trick to the board, and the trick winner leads. They are going to go ahead and lead out their ace of diamonds. The opposite player does have a diamond. The ace wins it. And play like that will continue until a player reaches 66 or more, or until all of the tricks are played out. If all of the cards are played out and nobody has reached 66 points or more yet, then 10 points are awarded to the player who captured the last trick. However, if the round ever comes to an end because somebody hit a score of 66 points, then that 10 points for the last trick is not awarded. Now it's time to talk about scoring for the game. Essentially, all the points you capture during the round are card points, and you are racing each round to get to 66 first. Our red player, which was player one, won the round as soon as they got to a score of 72. When a player reaches a score of 66 points or more, they earn 1 game point. So if you're using a cribbage board, you'll take your third peg and mark it on this part of the board. Normally there is a section where you can keep track of the games you've won. So we're going to use that for game points. Our blue player, player 2, had a score of 36. Well, let's say they had a score of 28. If a player reaches 66 points or more, before their opponent scores 33 points, that's called a Schneider, and you actually will earn 2 game points for that. And if a player is able to reach a score of 66 or more before their opponent has even captured 1 trick, that's called a Schwartz, and that earns you 3 game points. If the round comes to an end and neither player has scored 66 points or more, then neither player wins the round. It doesn't matter who has more points. In this situation, nobody earns any game points. Also, the next round will be worth 1 additional point. So think of like the possible point you could have earned here gets carried over to the next round. One thing to keep in mind when closing the stock is that if you fail to get 66 points by the time you're out of cards in your hand, then you are actually going to be giving your opponent points as penalty. So let's say player 2, the blue player, closed the stock and played out the rest of their cards and failed to get to 66. They were close. They got 64. Player 1, the red player, now gets 2 points for the game. So 1, 2. So there is a penalty if you close that stock early and fail to capture 66 points. And finally, if you close the stock before your opponent has even captured 1 trick, but you fail to get 66 card points, your opponent will earn 3 game points. Once game points for the round have been awarded, collect the cards. The deal alternates each round, and you will continue playing rounds until one player reaches a game score of 7 points or more. The first player to reach 7 points or more wins the game. And that's how to play 66. So here are a couple things I want to talk about real quick. First is when you begin each round, you can alternate the deal like I mentioned in the tutorial, but you can also play that whoever wins the round will deal the next one. You'll find some rule sources say that that's the correct way to play. As far as keeping track of your card points, I like to use the cribbage board or some sort of scorekeeping app to keep track of my card points during the round. I think it's more fun to play that way. However, you can also play with a memory element where you are in charge of keeping track of your card points in your head. Now that changes the way the game plays a little bit because now you are announcing when you think you have 66 or more points. It's not going to be out there for you on a piece of paper or on the cribbage board. You have to keep a running total in your mind and be exact if possible. That's when you get your penalties for failing to hit 66. If you say you hit 66 and end the round, but you didn't, you're going to give your opponent those penalty points. Again, I do not like playing like that. I think it's perfectly fine to keep a running total. The other thing I think you should know is that if you take the 9s out of this deck and just play with 10s through aces, you are essentially playing Schnapsen, which is a relative of 66. For the most part, all the rules are the same, except there are some subtle differences in timing for things like closing the deck and when you score points. So there are some subtle differences. If you want to play exactly by the book, you're going to need to look into those. And my best suggestion is just to find an app. I will put a link in the description for my favorite way to play 66 and my favorite way to play Schnapsen on my phone. Also, I will have a PDF of the rules for this game linked down in the description so you can print them off and have a faster reference for your first few games until you get the rules down for yourself. All right, that's all I have for you. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions about this game or any other game, leave them down below. I'll do my best to help you out. I've got a playlist of other card games here for you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Oktoberfest. Until next time, keep on playing.